Hey everybody, welcome into this week's episode of Tony's Spot On Fishing. I'm your host, Tony Krizek, and today we've gone south. We're actually down in Braidwood, fishing the power plant cooling lake down here. Air temperatures are a little cooler this morning, only about 65 to start out the day. We're going to go up to about a high of, right about 80. But water temps, as you can see with all the steam coming off, are about the mid 90s out here. We're on the south end starting right now. But we're gonna go a little bit all over the place here, show you all the tips, tricks, and techniques of how we can catch fish out here on Braidwood. With me today is my buddy Kris Mabrito, and we are gonna get quite a few fish today. Braidwood is just a fish factory, let me tell you. I mean, it is such a phenomenal fishery, shad-based forage lake, and the bass out here just feed nonstop. Don't let the high water temperatures fool you. We're gonna catch them today. That's all this week on Tony's Spot On Fishing. Little guy, but man, he's got a belly on him. He's been eating those shad pretty good. So we're out here at Braidwood. There's a handful of different baits that we like to throw. Now we can really get kind of diverse depending on where we're at, the conditions that we're dealing with, the structure we're fishing as far as what we fish. A lot of shad in here. These fish are always chasing shad. There's times we'll catch them on jerk baits, even though water's almost 100 degrees. You know, guys will still fish jerk baits out here, imitate that dying shad. You can throw a crankbait. One of the most productive ones we found lately, Kris is throwing one right now. It's from Live Target, the bait ball series. And just an excellent shad imitation style crankbait we can throw. Plastics work well. We're going to show you a lot of plastics today. Creature baits, beaver style baits work very well. And we've even caught fish on spinner baits too. Spinner baits, chatter baits out here. So it's pretty diverse, the things we can throw. Now this first area we're actually hitting, we've come out, we're launched on the south side, the south ramp. And there's still quite a bit of fog or steam coming off the water this morning. And with it being a little cooler air temps, we knew that that was a risk, but that's okay. And what we've done, we're actually fishing this first little island here. A lot of shad, we're stacked up off of this thing. Bass have been busting them here and there. So we can kind of throw the moving baits through here. We could even pitch a plastic if we wanted in this section too. Spinnerbait, any of it would work. But we're essentially going to kind of bounce around on the south end here a little bit until some of this steam burns off, and then we can make a longer run up to the north side. Pretty much what they call the old DNR rearing pen area. It's probably one of my favorite areas on Braidwood. We're going to hit a few spots in between, figure out where these fish are here on the south end. North end's going to be probably just a couple degrees cooler than the south end. It usually is. And a lot more plastics we fish up there. And there is some islands that we can, and rock bars too, that we can throw some moving baits around, but a lot more plastics. It seems down on this side that moving bait biter can be a little bit better. Yes, sir. Oh, it's a cat. Oh, there's a Braidwood bonus fish for you. Now, what did I do with my pliers? They're there. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, Miss Kitty, hang on. We'll get you loose here in a second. There we go. Well, that was something I wasn't anticipating there. Ugh. Got to retie. And what we did is we actually made a little move just kind of making our way slowly towards the north here, the north side of the lake, up towards the rearing pens. And you'll notice a lot of these little coves and things back up in here. And when we get that, a lot of times these are areas that the shad will get pushed into, and you know, the bass will be back in here with them. Now it's kind of weird, you know, what I've always found over the years out here is so many of the times when you're fishing a plastic, the bass will always kind of peck at it before they really pick it up and take off with it. And that one just slammed me. I kind of had a bad feeling that wasn't going to be a largie out here. But hey, you know what? We got a fish. A fish is better than no fish. But there are some monster cats out here. Anybody that's looking for a spot where you can just catch some big giant cats, the power plant cooling lakes definitely have them. Braidwood, LaSalle, even though Heideke's offline, Heideke still has some big cats in it. So you can kind of assume that you'll get a little bit of a mixed bag out here. I know when we fished the Exelon Fishing for a Cure tournament out here, they'll even have an option for big bass and big cat in that tournament, because there are so many cats out here. There we go. Little guy. Yeah. What we did, we actually made a move. The fog lifted enough, we were able to get up towards the north side. A little cooler water, it's about 91 degrees versus that 96 to 98. And literally first cast in, I had just missed one, Kris stuck one. Now Kris is running the Bullhog from Bass Pro Shops. I'm running the Riverbug from Bass Pro Plastics as well. And actually all we're doing, just an 1/8 ounce tungsten weight, because we want it to have more of a natural fall to it. We don't really want to hop it. We're actually looking for that beaver or that bullhog to kind of swim its way down. So rather than a heavier weight where we're hopping it, we're actually kind of letting it swim down to the bottom. That makes a world of difference out here. Now, one thing we've found over the years fishing out here, especially these presentations, the bass out here are just necessarily, they're not like a lot of other places where it's going to be that good solid thump and you got them. These fish will actually sit here and kind of peck at the plastics. You'll feel peck, peck, peck. They'll kind of pick it up, drop it, pick it up, drop it. Once they pick it up, you'll feel that good solid thump. But a lot of guys will get confused out here thinking, oh, it's a bluegill messing around, or, you know, something like that, shad playing with it, but it's actually the bass. And then you'll feel that good solid thump, reel down and crack them. But this is kind of the area where they call the rearing pens, where the DNR used to utilize it. And there's a series of coves and islands all back here. And we can just go back through here flipping and pitching these plastics. And I mean, you'll catch bass almost all day long back here. There we go. All right. Right in the corner of the mouth too. A little guy, but man, he's got a belly on him. He's been eating those shad pretty good. Get him back in. So let me show you exactly the rig that I'm running here. It's really simple. I mean, like I said, it's just a free sliding 1/8 ounce tungsten weight, and then for the smaller size beaver like this, the river bug, the 3.5 inch, it's a 2/0 EWG hook. Now, if you really put a 2/0 EWG Gamakatsu next to a 3/0, it's just a little shorter shank this way. The gap is still almost exactly the same. And then we're just Texas rigging that river bug or beaver. Actually, I'm gonna have to grab a new one. He tore up my plastic. But the other thing, where did I put him? Got him in my pocket. That's where I put him. Now the color I'm running is actually their watermelon bluegill. And we do really well on colors like that. But also we do well with black and blue out here. Green pumpkin we've caught them on. Now, we'll Texas rig this guy. Slide him right on up. Now the other thing, when you pull these beavers or the river bugs right out of the package, the tail is connected. So we'll go ahead and open that up so this way we get a little bit of undulation. Now, anybody who's ever watched one episode of Tony Spot on Fishing knows I can't fish a plastic without doctoring it up a little bit. So right on the very end, I'll take my garlic, spike it, and I'll put a little bit of chartreuse just on the very tip of the legs there. Not much at all. But what's nice is that gives us a little bit of garlic scent, and it just gives it a little bit of color too. And I really like the pen version of this stuff because it's just so much easier. You don't have to worry about a bottle spilling over, and the spray is nice too, but that can get messy. On a windy day, I've come home with a chartreuse beard. So it's best to just, in my opinion, just run that pen. Gives you a little bit of color, a little bit of scent. Now, Kris, on the bullhog, how was that bite that you had? Was it that traditional peck, peck, peck?
It was. It came off the ref that point. It was peck, peck, peck. I'm like, oh, you know, there's a fish hitting, and then he popped after a few pecks, and like I said, it was right off that point that we came across.
Yeah, it's weird how these fish pick up the plastics out here. They just don't, you know, it's not that standard quick thump, pick up and go. They'll play with it a little bit, and we've had days out here where they'll just machine gun fire peck at that darn thing forever, it seems. And you'd swear it's a bluegill or a shad or something messing around. Now, like my fish, it was peck, 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 thump. I mean, it was a lot quicker than we noticed earlier in the year. So one thing to keep in mind out here on Braidwood is just that. You know, it may not always be that solid thump you're used to. Now, a lot of times when we're pitching a jig, a skirted jig, where it's falling a little quicker, we'll get that traditional strike. But and the other thing here too, back by the rearing pens, you notice a couple areas Kris will swing in and we'll flip and pitch. But what's nice is keeping it about a cast length out like this, we're able to throw up right towards the reeds. And a lot of times we'll get bites there. Sometimes you'll get it because it's a little bit of a flat, and then just off the flat is a nice break down to it, the next secondary flat. So you're able to actually cover all those areas when you do that. But we fish it kind of slow. And like I said, with that 1/8 ounce weight, it's not so much the hop, but that bait will kind of swim down a little bit. Little guy. Come on now, where are all these big girls at? Get my pliers out. a very big fish by any means, but at least it's a fish nonetheless. There's definitely been a shad hatch out here. There's so many little teeny shad running around right now. And we could see bass, even blowing up on some of these little guys. And, we've run through with crankbaits, with jerk baits. And really the only bites we're getting is still back on the plastic. And I think a lot of times when you get that much shad like that much forage for them, I think a lot of times it's almost best to kind of go against the grain there. Now don't get me wrong, we'll still have days out here where it's definitely just a moving bait bite only. But overall, right now the pattern so far is definitely just pitching these plastics. And we've had a couple other misses. Kris had missed one right by the boat. Literally, I had missed one on a full cast out over a little rock bar. But really, the only thing that they are reacting to bite-wise right now are the plastics. Like I said, always have a variety when you come out here to Braidwood, because at any moment, anything can change as far as exactly what you're going to catch them on. We started today with mile-high skies and very light winds. Now we got a little bit of a breeze blowing. And we got some cloud cover, so we're going to see that can change the pattern quickly too around here. Oh yeah, nice one too. Yes, sir. That's thick fish too for its size. They're eating good.
Yes, they are.
And that's on the bullhog, right?
Yes, that was on the Bluegill Magic Bullhog.
Bluegill Magic. That bullhog is a sweet little bait too. It's got, Kris will show it to you here. Nice beaver profile with a couple live action tails on the back of it. Excellent bait. And I mean, generally speaking, now that's a what, 4.5?
4 1/4.
4 1/4.
So yeah, it's a 4 1/4. So it's the Bass Pro Shop Bullhog in the Bluegill Magic. Very similar to the Chigger Craw Crazy Legs. If you do like the Chigger Craw brand, the Berkeley Power Bait. So I enjoy it. I have several different colors: black and blue, Bluegill Magic. The General is a yellow with a dark green on top. So they all seem to work.
Woohoo! That one's giving you a ride.
Nice fish.
Yeah. Very nice. Oh, well, let's add one more bait to the mix on Braidwood, and that's the good old chatterbait. Another little guy, but my goodness, his belly's... If I was a bass that size, that's about how my belly would be. I'll tell you right there. That's pretty cool. Like I said in the opening, or near the opening of the show, we talked about various baits that work out here, aside from, the plastics, but a jerk bait, crankbaits, and of course, good old chatterbait. There's just something about it. It's a lot of vibration to that bait. There is flash to it as well. And the one I'm actually throwing is one that I've tied up personally myself and made it like a bluegill pattern. And what I do, when I get it back in, I'm going to show you what I'm actually using for a trailer, because I cut down a swim Senko. basically take a full 5-inch swim single, cut it down, and use that for the paddle tail on this thing. You can see it's actually just that swim single, just threaded right on up. Cut a few inches off of it. Put a little bit of that chartreuse garlicky goodness on the tail there. That's one I tied up myself. A little deer hair, a combo of Flashabou and Crystal Flash. Nice little bluegill type pattern. But there's something about a chatterbait when you know, moving baits, when it seems a spinnerbait or a crankbait just aren't moving fish. It's one bait in your arsenal that you can turn to if you really want to get them going on a moving bait, is that chatterbait. What we have here, we're right at the entrance area of that rearing pen. There's 2 islands and then a little cove. And what's nice is we're kind of ducked behind just that island, that secondary island. Gets us out of the wind and out of the current. But on either side, there's current funneling in, pushing the shad through here. And we actually have a little hump that sits out in the middle too to kind of break up the current. So it's an area where there's a lot of shad, and where there's shad, there's bass. There we go. That's a decent one. Oh yes. That's a nice one. Come here, girl. Come here. Oh, get out of that drift sack. All right. Yeah, that's a nice one there. Gosh, they're just so darn healthy out here eating those shad. Whew. Let's go ahead and get her back in. Tell you what, that's another one for the chatterbait. You know, Kris just made a good point. A matter of just 10-15 minutes, caught one, missed one, you had one come swipe at it, miss it, and then that one there. It's just something about a chatterbait out here. When the other moving baits don't work, the chatterbait will get it done. There he is, right off the point. Nice little guy. Oh, come here, chunky monkey. Man, I'll tell you what, this warm water does not affect these fish. They are used to it. They fight like freight trains. Their metabolism is through the roof. Short guy, but just nice thick fish. I mean, my goodness, that's all they do is just eat shad all day. I had literally seen a swirl off that point. I said, man, I couldn't tell if that was a carp swirling or if that was a bass. Threw up there, and I'm glad I did. It was a bass. Ooh, another nice one. The Bass Pro, solid fish, yeah. The Bass Pro Bullhog. Getting it done on the wood.
On the watermelon magic, I misspoke earlier. This is bluegill magic, it's actually watermelon magic. And the top of the lip.
Are you rigging that on a 3-aught or a 2-aught?
I actually have it on a 4-aught right now.
On a 4? Okay.
I got it on a 4 with the 1/8 ounce tungsten weight. I like it because anything I short bite, I can get it with that. So, nice little guy. I think I'm gonna get a picture for myself with it.
Another little guy there. Pliers in my pocket here. Man, I just flipped in and she thunked it right there. Another little guy. That's all right. They're all fun. Well, man, I'll tell you what, we're kind of ducked in again in another little cove here, but that wind is really starting to rip out on the big main lake there. and it is going to make for one wild ride back to the ramp. A good safety note, you know, the power plant lakes, Heideke, Braidwood, and LaSalle, they're all built above ground. They're done that way because they were meant to cool the waters so the wind catches them. They're cooling the water, or the power plants, so they need to, that's why these water temperatures are so ungodly high out here. So they're built above ground. So what would normally be a you know, a slight breeze anywhere else, you're going to have some wave action out here with just the slightest breeze. And originally they were slated 5 to 10. I think it's safe to say we're about 15 to 20 at least. And it is going to make for one bumpy ride back to the ramp here, I'll tell you. Like I said, right here we finally got one area where we're just kind of tucked in and just enjoying the tranquility here. But you know what? We're going to go ahead and be safe and get on out of here. We hope we shed some light on Braidwood and how to catch fish out here and the options. Versatility is the name of the game. Bring the crankbait, bring a spinnerbait, a chatterbait, jerkbait, bring your plastics. Rig them up the way we're doing it. You'll come out here, you'll catch fish. Kris, my friend, I thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh man, it was a blast. And I'll tell you what, facebook.com/Tony Spot on Fishing, all the information about various shows, where we're filming at, live look-ins that we'll be doing, anything spot on. Find us on social media and keep up with us. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Tony Krizek. We'll see you next time on Tony Spot on Fishing.